Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you. XRP Las Vegas is back, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want all the details, and we've got them for you today. And how about the Bitcoin spot ETF? What would the price be if we get that approved inside of the next 30 days, which it looks like it may do? And how about an XRP ETF as well? And how about a US dollar backed by Commodities? How about a presidential candidate telling us that if he becomes president? We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.63 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 1.1%. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. $41,600 plus for Bitcoin right now. $2,100 and change for Ethereum. Tethered market cap is 91 billion plus right now. That is an all-time high right there. I'm pretty damn sure. Wow. 59 cents for XRP, ladies and gentlemen. The technical analysts tell us that nothing bad is happening. We're just watching price fluctuation here. And that all good things will come to those who wait. That's what they say, not financial advice. We're off by 2.5 on the 24-hour, and we're off by 3.8 on the 7-day. Current range of price right now is between 58 and 62 cents. Currently at 59 cents. Maybe it's waking up this morning. You know, Mondays can be a little rough for everybody, even XRP, right? So there we have it. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen, not for too long. This is going to be a remarkable conference. And I know that because I've already talked to a lot of the companies and people, top industry leaders, policy discussions, regulation, people that can impact these things. They're all going to be here. It is XRP Las Vegas 2024, May 3rd, May 4th. This event will sell out. No question about it. And how timely it is that we kicked a stride again this year at the same time that we know that there is a huge fight going to Capitol Hill and to the super PACs. Join Chamber of Commerce as well. Look, you can buy your ticket for XRP Las Vegas right here. XRPLV ticket, buy now, right there. Chamber of Digital Commerce is doing a fundraiser. You're going to want to be a part of that because Brad Garlinghouse, John Deaton, and Michael Arrington and Honorable Chris Giancarlo will be guest of honor at this fundraiser, which happens to be hitting at a perfect stride, ladies and gentlemen, when Brad Garlinghouse himself has announced that him and Ripple are putting stakes in the ground, leading the charge with other industry leaders to support pro-innovation, pro-crypto candidates in 2024 U.S. election. That's what's happening. As they pour money into the super PACs, that's what's coming. At the same time that we know Perry Ann Boring, Cody Carbone, everybody over at the Chamber of Digital Commerce is doing everything they can to mount up the fight because we know that Elizabeth Warren is fighting to ban crypto. We can't allow it. Coinbase is doing their part. This is Paul Grewal, Chief Legal Officer, said promise made, promise kept. We are now on file with the Third Circuit to challenge the SEC's arbitrary and capricious denial of our petition for crypto rulemaking. We again appreciate the court's consideration. And essentially pushing SEC to a place to say, hey, give us the official word on what this is, right? On crypto rulemaking. They refuse to do it, which is really proven what we all have come to know. Stuart Alderati summarizes here. In less than 2 years after it was filed, the Supreme Court decided Howey on stipulated facts. Here it took the SEC the same amount of time to say what everyone knew it would say. It would not engage in crypto rulemaking. This is political gamesmanship with the industry and the courts, furthering stifling innovation. Listen, to add to all of this, John Deaton is absolutely spot on here. 20% of the U.S. Senate is now backing Senator Elizabeth Warren to ban crypto. Now, listen, we can't have this. This will stifle innovation in a way that we cannot allow. And one of the ways that you can step up is to make sure you come participate at XRP Las Vegas and the Chamber of Digital Commerce fundraiser, because you're going to support what's coming. These conversations we're going to have at XRP Las Vegas are absolutely going to further the next steps of what we need to do as a collective to make sure that Elizabeth Warren does not work in favor of the banks and the financial system, but instead work in the way of supporting the people and the voice of the people. We know what we need to do. Meanwhile, new players entering the market, like BlackRock, and calling this the start of a 3-year bull market. That's what's being said. Take a listen to some of this.
It's all about, a new player coming into the market, which is potentially BlackRock or other institutional investors. But again, I think it's a macro picture that brought the crypto market down in November 2021, and I think it's a macro picture that brought it back up.
Do you think it stays here?
I think we're going to rally further, right? Because there is just more incentive.
What would be the catalyst for that rally?
Well, one, of course, is the Bitcoin spot ETF approval, right? When you look historically, in 2017, when the Bitcoin futures was announced until it was actually approved, there was like 6-7 week window. Bitcoin prices actually rallied 180%. So I think we can make an argument, if a Bitcoin spot ETF is actually approved, prices will just rally further until basically there is the last buyer in the market. Okay. I think that will be a big trigger. Macro is still a big tailwind. I think people are expecting 3 rate cuts next year, but I think generally the pattern we see is 1 year bear market, 3-year bull markets, and this is the first year bull market in crypto that we had.
Okay.
Marcos, one of the reasons why...
And there you have it, 3-year bull market to come here. But take a listen to this quick clip where this gentleman breaks down one-day Bitcoin price after ETF. Now, I don't know if it goes like this, because I tend to lean in, just for full disclosure, if we get the approval, and it's likely that we do, there's a lot of them out here waiting, and it may be mass approval of multiple ETFs all at once, right? And if that be the case, I would expect to see, much like you do when a company IPOs, you usually see a huge sell-off in the face of that IPO. The price runs up, then there's a sell-off and it comes back. And then over time, it starts to really get traction and make its way back up out of the hole. That's just my vision on it. It may not go that way. Maybe it looks more like what this guy suggests. Take a listen.
If there's $1 trillion, for example, that's going to go into real estate, right? Governments have the ability to control the supply of that real estate in order to make sure the market stays stable. If there's too much sudden increase in too much demand, the government can respond by increasing permits for building, right? As an example. So they can balance out the supply and demand of real estate quite easily. Same thing with gold. I just issue more permits for you to dig more gold, and then you get more gold. So, whereas with Bitcoin, you can't do that. So if the ex-managing director of BlackRock, who was talking at a conference in London, is correct, and there's $200 billion of demand in the first 3 to 5 years after a Bitcoin spot ETF, that equates to about $192 million per day of demand if it is equally spread out through the 756 trading days that you have. If that's the case, then you're looking at a day one Bitcoin price of $198,000 a coin.
Now, so, again, he's just using some very broad math, right, just to give an understanding of the kind of money that can move into this market. It doesn't mean it will go there, and I'm only showing it just to show his perspective of that amount of money broke down on an average. Again, I tend to think something a little different may take place, but, we'll see. I mean, we're witnessing something that's never happened before, and speaking of something that's never happened before, why not keep your eye out for the next thing, which could be a spot XRP ETF. And why wouldn't you have that, knowing that XRP has the clarity legally? Keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes peeled. And let us not forget on the geopolitical stage, because you're going to, we're pivoting a little, but it really is done on purpose today, because I wanted to show the contrast between how Bitcoin is clearly not being seen as a currency anymore. It is absolutely being seen as an investment product. That is how it is being seen, right? And that's the reason for the ETFs. It is clearly declaring it as an investment product. That's what you're seeing there. So now, with that being said, we understand that while the markets are starting to size up what's a crypto investment vehicle and what is possibly a bridge, to work with inside of the financial system and payments, all of that is starting to be defined now. We're starting to see that. So these approvals of the ETFs are going to be very important for the integrity and characteristics that truly define what Bitcoin is or isn't, right? That's going to be one of the big things there for me. Here we remind everyone, BRICS nation are strategically planning to undermine the U.S. dollar dominance. Now, most of us know this, but stay with me. Aiming to establish new global financial order, a potential BRICS currency could significantly impact key U.S. economic sectors, including banking, trade, and tourism. Now, with that being said, we know that President Putin said that the next BRICS summit under Russia's presidency in 2024 will be dedicated to establishing a fair world order. And inside of all of this, they know that they have 11 more countries coming on to BRICS coalition next year. And they talk about this rules-based world order is what they're talking about. Now, we know that they have plans to de-dollarize, which they've already begun to do from the U.S. dollar, but they also have plans in the future of launching a gold-backed BRICS currency at some point in the future. Now, what's interesting about all of this is there was just recently a presidential conference or debate, whatever this is here, town hall, I should say, where Vivek Ramaswamy here gives an answer about what he would do with the Fed. Now remember, BRICS is currently de-dollarizing on a geopolitical level, okay? I have said that I personally believe the abandonment of the gold standard underpinning the U.S. dollar, and then we saw what? The creation of the petrodollar agreement with oil-producing countries like Saudi Arabia in return for U.S. military protection. Saudi Arabia will be joining BRICS coalition. Saudi Arabia has begun to now deal with oil trades not exclusive to U.S. dollars. So they are unwinding the petrodollar agreement right before our eyes, which means something will have to happen to underpin the confidence of the U.S. dollar to remain a dominant world reserve currency and desirable. Listen to what Vivek Ramaswamy says after he talks about reducing the Fed and how he would stabilize the U.S. dollar.
She says that she's currently registered as a Democrat, but now intends to switch parties and is planning to participate in the Republican caucuses and register as a Republican. She's undecided on which candidate to support. Nicole?
Thank you and welcome. I'm going to throw it back to the United States and talk a little bit about how you feel about the growing differential between the top 1% and the middle class in the U.S. and how you plan on addressing it in your presidency.
Yeah, great question. And to tell you the truth, I don't feel great about it. A lot of this is the product of the Federal Reserve, actually. Seems like a technical subject a lot of people don't like to talk about. I think this is fundamental. So the Federal Reserve has, since the late 90s, taken on the role of playing effectively God for the financial system. For a lot of that period, raining money from on high like manna from heaven. We've been skiing on artificial snow, and it's really flowed down through the top 1%. A friend of mine actually has a funny expression, but I'll share it with you. He says, if you're a nurse, you'll go home with some extra latex gloves. If you're a teacher, you might go home with some extra pencils. If you're a banker, you go home with a few extra dollars. And that's the way it's worked through the Federal Reserve System. Trickle-down economics, I believe, does work when it's driven by gains in the real economy, but it doesn't work when it's created by artificial paper wealth generated by Fed Reserve policies. So I'd put the Fed back in its place. The reason real wage growth has not gone up for the bottom 99% adjusted for inflation, it's been flat. The reason why is the Federal Reserve has treated wage growth as though it's a leading indicator of inflation and tried to tamp it down like a game of whack-a-mole for the last 25 years. So you get what you pay for. My view is I'll put the Fed back in its place. A single mandate for the U.S. Fed. What is that?
Listen.
Dollar stability.
Here we go.
Peg the dollar to commodities. That ties the hands of our government. That's a good thing.
Peg the dollar to commodities. Not one commodity, commodities. Well, let me tell you something. Isn't this what I've been saying? I believe the next underpinning of the U.S. dollar to provide its dominance for the next 150 to 300 years will be the XRP ledger. Maybe the Stellar ledger. One of the two. Maybe in conjunction both. I don't know. But what I do know is that the XRP ledger is a decentralized exchange. And you could absolutely prove that you have a certain amount of broad, vast commodities that support the stabilization of the dollar price, which cannot be questioned by anyone because it is on the ledger and it's immutable. And if you have a broad enough set of commodities and other assets, you can guarantee that the stabilization will be there because not any one thing, like if it's just gold, if it's just oil, relying on partnerships around the world, this is why it's problematic. But if it's oil, gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, if it's soybeans, corn, wheat, you name it, all commodities, soft and hard. You bring all of those in as a basket behind these things, and you could bring even other assets as well, I'm sure. And then you could guarantee that you're now delivering the most stable dollar, which is so difficult to destroy because you would have to destroy so many different areas of the economy in order to destroy those reserves that give it its strength. That's what we're talking about here. I'll tell you what else we're talking about. We're getting ready to go into the freedom zone, ladies and gentlemen. The Great Reset meets the Great Resist. That's what's going on. They're not stopping, and we aren't either. Join us in the freedom zone. Digperspectives.com. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.